Hello everyone, so welcome to this week's explanation video, and this will be our first position. It's white to play, and first let's take stock in what's going on in this position. Well, white is currently down a pawn, and black is starting to give checkmate with this g2. But this threat, it's white to move, so we should not just panic and try to find how to protect the g2 pawn, but maybe look at the more forcing moves. And when we start to look, well, there's only one check in the position, which is d6, and then it becomes very natural. d6, and let's continue the line. Well, if king f8, then black loses queen, rook to f1, and we pin the queen. So he has to go king to h8. And okay, it looks like we still haven't accomplished anything. Black's still threatening mate. And okay, we did give ourselves the possibility of playing queen d5 to protect the mate on g2, but obviously we're still down a pawn. This doesn't bring us too much after queen d5. Let's consider other moves, and well, okay, it's a very forcing move. What about queen takes a2? And then when you see it, it becomes clear that this is obviously winning to white after you take. White's down a rook for a queen, but now this pawn is on c7, d takes c7. Okay, and black, with this rook is completely sidelined on g5, so there's really no good way to stop the pawn from queen mode. For example, queen c2. Now white simply plays rook a1, starting back rank mate, and if you like, let's say give yourself a window with h6, then now check, king h7, and queen, and again, white ends up with an extra rook. So, yeah, the key here is just, again, start from checks and captures, and then we should not panic under the threat of mating one. I mean, it's not mating one, but yeah, under the mating threat, just keep calm, and then we check all the variations, and then we see that this wins relatively easily for white. Next position is this one. Now this is an interesting one because okay, white is down a piece, but black is stuck in the center, and we have quite a few pieces that can join the attack. So what's the, I guess, correct way to start thinking about this? Well, the normal way is to start with checks and captures. What are the most forcing moves? And you can look at this move, for example, but this doesn't give anything. So still down a piece. And what about queen takes d7? It looks crazy, but maybe we should consider this too. And if you consider it, after takes, you have rook b8 check. The rook is pinned, so he has to play bishop d8. But now, it should become clear that bishop f6 actually wins the white. There's no way to stop rook takes d8 mate. There's just no way. I mean, black can delay it with spike checks by sacking the rook, sacking the queen, but it really doesn't help. White will just take on d8 because the rook is pinned on d7, for example. And if king f8, now the rook is unpinned. Now we simply just take the rook. Now still be mate next move. So once again, this is a nice combination, but it's not too difficult because it's forcing. So once we look at forcing moves, it becomes pretty clear that this should be one. The next position is this position. White to play. At first, it looks like it's very difficult to understand where to start. Like, there's only like 6 pieces on the board and 8 pieces on the board if you count the kings. But there's a lot going on. Both kings are wide open, and it's white to move. But if we look further, you can actually understand that white is actually in big trouble because white can give a bunch of checks to this king on f4, but like, if you notice, if the king moves anywhere, they'll release the bishop. So black is actually starting to discover check, which is pretty deadly for white. And also, if you remove the rook and want to give it a check with bishop, he's also trying to take the bishop with check. So looking at these observations, you can actually understand that even though it's white to move and the black king is in f4, it's actually the white who's in big trouble because of this simple discovery. Black will move his king with a deadly discovered check. So how can we solve this problem? If you've solved a lot of studies before, then this move should come pretty naturally because it's a study-like move. But if not, then first of all, we should consider checks. But a lot of them just lose on the spot. So then we should eliminate the ones that don't work and then come to the right conclusion. And the right move is queen e3 check because black has to take. There's no other moves. And now with g3 check, blocking this check, and it's a double check on the black king, and so black has to move his king, and anywhere it goes, it's stalemate. You see the black has no move, the white rook is pinned, the white bishop is pinned. So this is how white makes a draw with queen e3 check. It's a little bit difficult. I think the main difficulty is understanding that it's actually white who's in big trouble here. And then once you see that, you kind of understand that double checks are kind of the key here. And then, yeah, it's also attraction, deflection, queen e3, rook g3. Next position is this one, and a big clue that we have to do something forcing is black is starting rook a1, which is mate of 1. So it tells us we have to do something very forcing because, for example, if we play something like bishop a2, and black's plays with b8 check, bishop b3, rook a1 mate. So we have to do something forcing as in checks or captures. Okay, what about trying to open the black king? Well, this doesn't work. If black just takes, rook h1, king g8, and we have no more checks. Next move, rook a1, mate. So what about the other check? Well, if we look closer, examine it further, and it's pretty clear that it works. Like knight g6. If you take, now you've opened diagonal for bishop. I take away the g8 square, so simply open the h file and mate you. And if you play king g8, obviously you can't take with h pawn because it's pinned. Now 97 check, king is forced back to h8, but as we observed in this line, here the j8 square is also under control, so we just take, open h file and mate. So the key to solving this position, once again, just understand that you have to do something forced, and then it comes pretty easily. This, and the typical rook sack to give me. Okay, in this position, it's white to move. Material is slightly in black's favor, but the most important thing is that both kings are open, but it's actually the black king that's much more weak. We have 3 pieces, including actually 4 pieces, because we should include the king too, around the black king, and it's our move, so we should somehow take advantage of these weak dark squares, if you notice, around the black king complex. So what can we do? Obviously, we want to make some forcing moves because if it's black move, he has a bunch of checks. There's too many options for black, so let's just try to start with checks. Bishop f6 looks natural, but unfortunately it leads nowhere after king g8. There's no more checks. Obviously, black doesn't take the knight because of king b8 check. We have many bad rank. The same story with queen f6. Black plays king g8 again. We have no check. And okay, and we noticed that the knight at f8 is actually a problem. So we'll allow knight e6 check. And when we look at this, it works because, like we said, if king goes back, now there's no knight at f8, so there's a back play with king b8. If he takes with the pawn, he's opened the f file, so we have queen f8 made. And if he takes with the queen, well, the finale are our original idea, queen h6. Once again, king g8 or king h8, queen f8 is made. Now, of course, after takes, we have a beautiful bishop f8 made. As we said, the king on h4 is also an attacker. And for this position, it's simply considering the forcing moves, and then pretty quickly we should find that this one works. My next position is probably my favorite from this week. It's very, very nice. I think it's like this. Black to play. This one is, I would say, considerably more challenging. So in this position, obviously we should be able to see that black is down to rook, but black does have two pawns for it, and obviously the king on h1 is very weak. And our first instinct is trying to checkmate the white king and maybe look at some forcing moves. But if we look queen h4, king g1, it's really hard to make the white king actually no way immediately. So if we can't do it with just the queen knight, we have to bring some other pieces to pawn. Well, our bishop is blocked in b7, so at the moment it can't really help. We could try to move the pawn down, but that takes 1, 2, 3 moves, which gives white a lot of time to bring other pieces into defense. So our only other piece is the rook, but at the moment it seems that, well, how do we get the rook over? Well, there's only this square on d5, but it's controlled by the pawn. So what can we do? Well, when we see this, I think we shouldn't give up and actually try some moves. What about rook d5? What about this, which we mentioned? And rook d5, you're turning rook h5. So for example, if black, I don't know, if white plays something like e4, and rook h5 check, bishop blocks, queen h2 is made. So white's forced to take the rook. But what did this do for us? Well, it actually opened this diagonal. So now simply queen g3, threatening mate, queen h4 works as well. Queen g3, threatening mate, king g1, and now bishop a6, we cut off the square on f4, now queen h2 is checkmating its move, and white can't do anything against this. So how would we be able to find this move? First, we should develop understanding that with the queen and knight, we simply cannot checkmate. So obviously, we need to bring other pieces. The pawns are obviously way too slow. The bishop is blocked at the moment, and we don't have the ability to play c5 because there's one pawn on c5. So we have, by process of elimination, we see that we have to use the rook. And once we see it, we should consider it because it's a very forcing move, as we said, white can't ignore the rook. And then once we see this, And then I think it should become clear that we have the bishop a6, which cuts off that form's correct in Blackhead. And I think this is our last position. Simple one. I mean, simple, as in not a lot of pieces on the board. Okay, normally it should be a draw, like we only have the bishop and the pawn on the board. But in this case, we can actually checkmate. But we should be precise about it, because the black king is currently threatening to run to safety, king g3. So again, we should start with the forcing moves, and let's go down the line. Bishop f2, king is forced to go to h5, g4, king is forced to go to h6. And okay, the black king is trying to run away. And obviously we can't place him at bishop g4, because then he can give a check, he can play f6. There's multiple ways for black to draw here. Well, then we see we should play king f6, because it's quite a useful move. We avoid the check, because now bishop h7, bishop b3. So we also block the black pawn, so the black bishop can't get out, so he's forced to go king h7. And now let's just, if he wants to come back out, so let's just cut him off, g5. Take away the square. Let's go king h8. Now we play bishop d4. Now, how will we find this move? First of all, we should understand what we're trying to set up here. Because of limited material, even winning this pawn f7 won't help us. So the only way we can checkmate is somehow having a bishop on this diagonal and having his bishop on g8, because then after g6 takes, king takes g6, it's made. So we need our bishop on d4, bishop d4. At the same time, it stops a move like bishop h7 from black. For example, I think if you play bishop c5 or something, black simply draws the bishop h7. Okay, so now bishop is free after take, the bishop goes anywhere, and black has a square in h7, saves the draw. The bishop d4, it's also stopping bishop h7, because now we take, it's king h7 is forced. Now we can't play c6 at the moment, but okay, let's make it waiting move, bishop c3 for example. King h8, now g6, and next move is mate. With bishop h7, king takes f7 is mate. F takes g6, king takes g6 is mate. So this is the fifth one by using our knowledge that the material is limited, so it means that there must be something unique about the position. We should check our forcing moves. And okay, and it becomes clear here we should force the king to come out, trap into the corner, and then have a beautiful king and bishop mate. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching, and please join me for next week's explanations.